All right, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Pro RC Crawler. Before we get started on today's video, big shout out to all you guys. Finally hit 500 subscribers. So, assuming that 5 of you don't unsubscribe this week, we finally hit that bitch mark. So, thank you all for subscribing and watching the videos. I hope you are enjoying learning a little bit more about the pro comp side, or if you're already in it, I hope you guys are just enjoying the videos. One of my previous videos, I did the process of mounting these wheels and tires that allow you to run the lower hanging weight system. And after doing that video and talking with some other people that are in the hobby, they have brought to light a new way of mounting these tires. And so today's video is going to focus on kind of a quick tutorial on a better, simpler way of mounting those wheels and tires. When I originally did it, I didn't even know that they made foam specific for these high clearance wheels, and they do. So this video is going to showcase re-gluing the wheels using a cool little jig that Scott hooked me up with. And after that, we'll go into the details of my freshly built, ready to rock Dlux Lunatic car. All right, this is going to be a new video on a new method of gluing these high clearance wheels. These will work on the Dlux wheels as well as the DG wheels, the wheels that are specific for using loaded dice or the low hanging weight. What that does versus a standard 2.2 is normally your wheel, you're limited to having your weight cannot go past this 2.2 inches. However, with these wheels, you'll see in this video, we put these holders in here, and now we're able to put the weight way down here. So it just gets you a lower center of gravity. It also gets the weight farther out on the axis, on the axles, which is just more efficient weight, right? You can have all the weight in the world, but if you have it in a more low center of gravity position, it's going to be more effective. So these particular wheels, these are going to be from Dlux carbon fiber. I went ahead already and I took my Dremel and scuffed up the internal surfaces, the sections that are going to get glue on them. Another set of Power Hobby grabber tires that I've already narrowed. So cut these down, you can see the glue seam here. Cut those down, glued them back together, so these are good. So pretty simple process. I'm going to use Loctite 406 for gluing the tires to the wheels. This is also the glue that I use for narrowing. And in my opinion, I'm scared to try anything else. These tires are a little bit difficult to get glue to adhere to, so this is just what we're sticking to. Then I have a 2mm driver. That's to put the wheels together. And I'll show you in a bit here, but I also have this 3M Super 77 multi-purpose adhesive, and this is for gluing the foams together. Like I said, this is a new video. I've done one of these videos in the past, and the way that I assembled the wheels and tires worked. However, it left a lot of opportunity for error. If you weren't careful, you could glue this center ring, your hub ring, incorrectly, and it made your tire oblong. Scott has provided me this file here, and what it does is it allows us to glue the wheel and assemble the wheel backwards of what I did in my first video. So this is going to be the updated version of that. It's pretty interesting. So the first step is going to be simply just gluing the face of the wheel inside the bead ring here. As you can see, that is going to ensure that the tire is centered. So we're going to glue this center ring to the tire. We're going to assemble these together and then bolt this on, and I'll show you all that stuff. So that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to go ahead and assemble all of these, gets a standoff and countersunk screws. I'll go ahead and assemble all those, and then we're gonna get started on this process. Jumping right in here, we've got our Loctite 406 with a applicator tip on it. This tip's a little bit big. I want to make sure I put a lot of glue in this area. So I will fill the outer bead area where the wheel sits flush, completely fill that section full of glue. Work it around here. And just basically drop the wheel face right into the tire, but you're going to want to make sure that it's sitting properly inside that bead face. Depending on how quick your glue sets, this can be difficult. The 406 takes about 15 seconds to really get stuck on there, so you have a little bit of play time. So I'll just kind of repeat that process on the other three. Again, just putting enough glue on there to where you make sure that the wheel face is going to stick, but not enough to where it's pouring out all over the tire itself. Because there's no foam inside the tire, obviously we don't want to glue the inside of the tire to itself because it will almost damage the tire. So you'll notice that I did not cut the tire bead yet, and I do that because I want the tire to be as rigid as possible, because it's going to give us that more perfect center hole. We got these two tires done. I'm going to follow back through once it's glued, and I just put a nice, really small, clean bead around the outside of the wheel face. You can choose to do this or not do it. I like the look of it, but I also like to make sure that we're fully glued all the way around the tire. As you can see, it's pretty darn simple to do. I let the tire sit for about 10 to 15 minutes before I move on to this step. You'll see that everything's nice and dry there. Go ahead and flip the tire inside out. These things are sticky. So we'll get it all turned inside out, and you're going to see that there's still a bead lip here for a standard bead lock wheel or standard wheel face. And we need that to be removed on both sides of the tire in order for our inner wheel setup to work. So now we're going to use a set of Dlux scissors. You can decide what other scissors you want to use, but I just use these nice sharp curved Dlux scissors. And you're going to want to try to cut this bead off as flush as possible, because you're going to want a nice flat surface for the inner portion of the wheel to glue to. If you don't get it too perfect, you're more than welcome to take a Dremel and smooth out that surface, the face of it, to get that thing rolling smoother. From here, we are going to screw on our handy little adapter that Scott made us. And we're going to move on to gluing. So with the tire still inside out and our jig in, now we're going to put, again, an ample amount of glue on the bead. Working it away. Again, putting enough on there to where you're confident that the inner wheel face is going to adhere properly, but not enough to where it drips all over the wheel face, because you're going to see it on the outside of the wheel. And then for safekeeping, I will just put a small little amount of glue on the actual inner wheel assembly as well. This is where the jig comes in handy. You'll slide your inner wheel right over the jig, and it ensures that wheel is glued perfectly center. You'll just do a little press fit here. This usually bonds rather quickly. So basically that's it. From here, you'll see I got a little glue smudge here. Just wipe it away with a paper towel. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove the jig. Once the jig's removed, again, I'm going to let this guy dry for about 10 to 15 minutes, which usually by the time you do the other three, you're ready to move back to the first set. So prior to doing this section here, I did get our foams assembled. I use a Crawler Innovations dual stage comp foam that is specific for these wheels. It has a larger center opening, and it's 3 layers of material, so we use the adhesive to glue those together so they don't come separated once they're inside the tire. And then from there, we're just going to slide over the foams over the wheel, making sure that the inner harder foam is centered of the wheel, and then we're going to flip the tire back to its correct orientation. Give it a little massaging to make sure that that foam is in there nice and flush and centered of the tire. Once we have the foam in there, we're going to just flip the tire on the back side, and we're going to use the same 406 glue, this time with a much finer tip. And you're just going to lay CA glue on the inner wheel face, and then using the actual wheel itself as a guide, you're just going to work the tire bead all the way around the tire. That's why it's important to make sure that when you did your initial cuts, you made sure not to modify the tire. I usually do about 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch of glue at a time, and I alternate back and forth until I have the entire wheel completed. So once I get the wheel completely glued, I like to flip it on its side and put a bead along the edge where the tire meets the inner wheel face, just for a little bit of reassurance that everything's glued tightly. And now we have a wheel glued and ready to go. All right, so finished product, wheels are mounted. I've done a few things since the previous video on the car itself. Obviously, the first noticeable one is going to be a paint job on the car itself. Lots of people asking what this body is. This is a J Concepts Mini E-Revo Illusion body. And per WRCCA rules, this does not meet rule specifications in its stock form due to height. However, as you can see here, this little deal, you got to heat it up, add a dimple to the body, and that'll give you that increased height. So that's pretty cool there. Wanted to get the body painted pretty quickly. I did paint this one myself. If you guys are interested in a quick paint tutorial, leave a comment below and I'll try to make a video of that. It's kind of time consuming for me to do these bodies, so I usually do them super late at night. But yeah, that is the body. Get a little close-up look there, some of the fine details. All right, so a few things. I went ahead and I rolled the C's. Sorry, I'm looking to see I got a good angle here. So I rolled the C-hub so that we can get full steering lock to lock. You'll see there that this thing has gobs of steering now. Lots of steering, but when you roll the C-hubs like that to get your caster, this link here was hitting, so I added a spacer underneath to get the height, and then I ran the tie rod or drag link on the back side of the servo arm, which meant I had to move the body back a hair. But now that all clears perfectly fine. When I had I had my other set of wheels on here that I designed, but in an effort to just keep things consistent, I wanted to be able to transfer these tires from this car to the Pro if for any reason I had a failure, whether it be a glue failure or I fell and broke a wheel. So with that, I have added, Dlux makes these tungsten holders. They're inside that wheel there. I think you can actually see it better on this side here. I wanted the weight to be as far out as possible, so I added some shims below them to get them shimmed super close to the wheel face. That way the weight is as low as it can be and as far out as it can be. But yeah, man, she's pretty dialed. I need to do some living room couch crawling, and then we're gonna go scratch it up on Sunday. So we got a comp down in Tucson. That's about a 2-hour drive. But we're gonna go tear it up. Hopefully, I Loctited everything that needs to be Loctited. Pretty sure that I've got everything dialed for the most part. But the first run is always where you see and find out to make sure that you got everything good to go there. I might end up limiting some of the travel in the rear, but I don't know exactly how this car is going to work just yet. Take the body off here. I also mentioned in a previous video that the motor was hitting the LiPo mount. So Dave Cape, if you guys are not familiar with him, kind of a big deal. He did win Worlds this year. He now has a Lunatic car, and he had me move the chassis is adjustable. So the front of the chassis here, he had me move it down so that it was in line with the front chassis itself. And what that did is it actually raises the car up and it changes the geometry a little bit. So now at full droop, the motor is no longer hitting, and then normal ride height is going to be just fine. So plenty of clearance on this car. I think it's going to work pretty darn good. I'm really excited to just get it out on the rocks. I think it turned out really well. Baseline settings should be pretty dialed, but yeah, I mean, it should be ready to rock. Super stoked with how much steering this car has. I did take the steering stops off to see if I could get more steering out of it, and I wasn't able to. I'm betting that if I were to really take some time and Dremel out these dog bones, I probably could get more steering, but as you can see, I'm already hitting the links, so there's really no reason to add more steering to it. So if all goes well, that will complete this build. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Next up is going to be the Super. The Super is the Mac Daddy of WRCCA crawling. It's about as big as this pit board here. Tires are huge, wheels are huge, four-wheel steering. It's going to be pretty darn awesome. I had a Super about 10 years ago, built it and never even drove it and sold it. But now there's quite a following for the supercar. So a little bit expensive to build, not going to lie. But excited to get that process started and get things rolling. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the videos. Again, big thank you to those that are subscribing and commenting on the content. Much appreciated. Glad you guys are enjoying it. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you out on the rocks soon.